Hi guys, my next step to a Halloween scenario table are some graves. For the bases, I use as usual the 1mm thick evergreen styrene sheets. I did mark every 5.1 centimeter, so I'll get 6 rows of graves in the end from one styrene sheet. Now we're going to cut it. Just use your ruler and your knife. And then you have this clean cut. Just break it apart and you have one straight edge. Cut off on every marked line. This way we get 6 parts exactly the same size. And now we're going to clean the cut edges. For this, just scrape with your knife. And some of you may remember, as I said in one video before, do this while not sitting next to your wife because the noise can become pretty ugly. When we're done with this step, we put the bases aside and clean up our workstation. And now we're going to model using this putty. I'm going to use the company Fimo. The brown one will be for the earth on the graves, and the gray one will be for the gravestones. First, the gravestones. I use the gray one, roll them, put them on some baking paper, and then press it on till you have a flat mass that you can work with. I've used a knife for these straight edges and some metal piece that is easy to bend to create a circular shape for the top. Then you can get more creative and create, like, I'd say 5 different kinds of gravestones. I've also created this one that looks more like an arrowhead. In the next one, I made a cross using some MDF parts that I had laying around, pressed them into the material, and then flattened it again so that I have some clean edges. This way I've created 5 different gravestones that now go into the oven to make them hard. To be honest, I don't want to form 30 of this by myself, so I'm trying to replicate them. For this, there is something called Instamold. That's the last gravestone that I multiplied. Just put it in hot water. Put it on a flat surface. Push your gravestone in, and to have a flat top surface that makes it later easier, I press some old MDF part or something that's flat on top and push the sides back in. Then let it cool down. After that, the Instamold gets pretty hard, so I can now take out the original part and have a mold where I can press in some more Fimo so that I can create another part that looks like exactly like the one I wanted to replicate. Do this multiple times so that you have like 8 or so replicas of each gravestone you've modeled. For more variations in your gravestones, you can then convert some of them so they don't look all the same. Like you see here, I'm carving RIP into one of them. That's an original, that's the mold, and this is how they come out of the oven. Now some cleaning work with my hobby knife. Now I've done some cleaning work, and what you can also do is damage some of them. For the crosses, I'll use an evergreen polystyrene profile, the number 145. It's 1 by 2.5 millimeters. Just take a strip, decide your desired height, and cut off. And then some for the cross sections. And you've done this, just take one tiny dot of plastic glue and put on the crossbar. Now onto the brown Fimo. When you work with it, I decide using some gloves because the brown will totally color your fingers. Roll it a bit so that you can handle it, press it onto another piece of baking paper and form with your fingers a small hill. After you've done that multiple times, you have something like this. Use your PVA glue and glue like 5 on each of the bases. After gluing them onto the bases, you have lots of different shapes and sizes, and glued some MDF parts on and will later paint them in stone colors. Use some PVA glue to glue the gravestones onto the bases. Spread the different gravestones over the different tiles so you have a good variation onto each. Now your tiles should look something like this, and now we're going to give every of these gravestones a black Templar wash. And now we're going to dry brush, some of them Dawnstone, some of them Administratum Grey, to get color variation. Dry brushing, I also applied some green and brown washes. And now I think I'm finished. I also painted the base in the same color as I do for my miniatures. Now I just apply some sand and show you the finished results. This is the first batch of 6 terrain tiles done. The second batch with 5 terrain tiles is drying at the moment. The gravestones are looking pretty dirty right now. That's perfect for my Halloween scenario. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Alright, here you go. See you tomorrow with the next part.